This is the week that's supposed to be the low watermark as far as NFL news is concerned. The week before the 4th of July, nothing really going on. Well, this year, something's going on. As we found out, not through a Friday afternoon bad news dump, they waited until low tide, Saturday night. They mobilized to let it be known to multiple reporters that coming Tuesday, the disciplinary hearing for Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson will commence. Now, we didn't know how this was going to play out. I thought the league would announce what its proposed suspension was as step one of a three-step process. Step two, Judge Sue L. Robinson, retired federal judge, the disciplinary officer hired by the league and the union to preside over these matters, would have a hearing and issue her decision. Step three, as long as there's any discipline imposed, the commissioner has final say over what happens to Deshaun Watson. Step one just got glossed over. Now, it was leaked to Andrew Beaton of the Wall Street Journal an hour or so after it was leaked to multiple other reporters that the hearing starts on Tuesday. Beaton reported that the league is looking for an indefinite suspension of Deshaun Watson to last a minimum of 1 year. And Beaton pointed out that the league has focused on 5 of the complaints against Deshaun Watson that have corroboration. Plenty out there. And Browns fans, look, I'm with you. I understand you've been put in a bad spot by Deshaun Watson and by your favorite team, that you have to circle the wagons, that you have to defend Deshaun Watson. If he was playing for any other team, you wouldn't care. He's playing for your team and you have to defend him. They've put you in this spot. I'm upset on your behalf, even though you're upset with me for pointing it out, for talking about it, for covering the biggest story of the summer and one of the biggest stories in the NFL for the past 15 plus months. You shouldn't be in this position. The Browns shouldn't have traded for him, or they should have done what the Dolphins tried to do last year. We're only going to trade for you if you settle all of the cases. And I think if all the cases would have been gone before Deshaun Watson arrives, yes, you still have to worry about a suspension, but it's got a different vibe to it. You don't have to get into the nooks and crannies and the nitty gritty of where's the evidence. That's one of the arguments we hear all the time. Where's the evidence? Well, testimony of the individuals who believe their rights were violated by Deshaun Watson is evidence. And also, again, 5 cases. The NFL believes corroboration comes from text messages and other things that occurred to show that this isn't just some after the fact money grab. Oh, we're suing Deshaun Watson. Oh, we're getting free money. Oh, sign me up too. That's what makes those cases more compelling, when you can show that there was something extemporaneous to the event that caused people to document in some way whatever it is that they believe happened to them. So the NFL, as expected, making a big push for significant discipline of Deshaun Watson. The next question becomes how long this hearing will last and how it will unfold from an evidence standpoint and from the perspective of the defenses that the NFL Players Association will be permitted to make on behalf of Deshaun Watson. And this is going to be the truest test of whether or not Judge Robinson is actually independent. Now, the reality is, and as I posted at PFT, she's really not independent, because once she serves 2 years under the CBA, either side can fire her with 4 months' notice. So if she does anything, either in the decision she renders or the way she conducts this process, that the league or the union don't like, if they really don't like it, they can fire her. So she's really not independent. And I say that because the NFLPA is going to push aggressively what I think is the strongest defense on behalf of Deshaun Watson. It's not rooted in whether or not he did anything wrong. It's based on the argument that the personal conduct policy, by its terms, says that owners are held to a higher standard. And as we've reported and as others have confirmed, the NFLPA is going to focus on Dan Snyder, the owner of the Commanders, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, and Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. Whether and to what extent they were investigated or disciplined for potential personal conduct policy violations of their own. So how do you begin to make that comparison? Because the argument will be that anything you do to Deshaun Watson has to be in fair proportion to what you did to them. Well, you don't just wave a magic wand and say it's proportional. You have to know what they did. Judge Robinson has to examine what they did. What did the league conclude? What did the league do to investigate? What did the league do to decide whether or not there will be discipline? What text messages or emails or other conversations may have occurred on the question of whether or not we're even going to look into it? These are important considerations. To truly make a fair comparison between Deshaun Watson and those three owners, some evidence is going to be needed. Some documents will need to be gathered and reviewed. And if Judge Robinson goes that way, if Judge Robinson tells the Shield that it's going to have to open up the documents, the files, the evidence, and share with the NFLPA things that it has tried desperately, especially as it relates to the Commanders, to keep hidden, that's not going to go over well at 345 Park Avenue. That could make Judge Robinson a one-and-done disciplinary officer, supposedly independent, under the collective bargaining agreement for the purposes of the personal conduct policy. So that, to me, is going to be the truest test. And it'll unfold this week. Jeffrey Kessler, who will be representing the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson in this matter, he will aggressively argue in favor of finding out what was decided, what was discussed, what was debated, what was done to Snyder, Kraft, and Jones. And if Judge Robinson lets him get the information he'll need to make that argument, the NFLPA will, not the NFLPA, excuse me, the NFL will be pissed. So that, to me, is going to be the truest indication of whether or not Judge Robinson wants to keep this job or whether or not she's willing to stick her finger in the eye of the NFL and let the consequences fall where they may. Then, after she issues her decision, whatever it may be, as long as any discipline is imposed on Deshaun Watson, that's when the commissioner's on the scene. Either side can appeal, and he can impose whatever discipline he wants. He can do exactly what the league has proposed. And look, the league is him. He is the person who is ultimately responsible for the folks who have proposed an indefinite suspension of at least 1 year. So why wouldn't he reach the same decision? Why wouldn't he? Is there going to be something that comes out in this hearing that causes him to take a step back and reflect on the wisdom of the decision that they made before the hearing even started? Are you kidding me? That's why when this procedure first came to light in 2020, now they tried to sell it as, true independence under the personal conduct policy. Once I read the fine print, no, it's a show. It's a sham. It's a whitewash. Ultimately, the commissioner is going to do whatever the commissioner wants to do unless Judge Robinson decides no discipline at all for Deshaun Watson. And I can guarantee you this. I can't guarantee you many things. I guarantee you this. If she decides no discipline for Deshaun Watson, it's going to be no disciplinary officer for Judge Robinson moving forward, because the NFL probably the next day will exercise its prerogative to terminate her position on 120 days notice. So this will play out, over the next month. Who knows? It depends upon how much evidence is going to be permitted by Judge Robinson under the defense that the punishment has to be proportional to other owners. So it could take a week, it could take a month, it could take longer. And then the commissioner has to handle the appeal. They'd like to get this done before the start of training camp. And there was a report not long ago where the league bemoaned the fact that the NFLPA may bog this down. Hey, the NFLPA has got the right. The NFLPA has the obligation to defend Deshaun Watson. Don't rush them. My dad used to call it the Rush Act. Don't give them the Rush Act. Let them make their decision. Let them take their time. Let them make their defense. The NFL is the one that's dragged its feet for 15 months. Now it's all of a sudden got to be done, got to get it done, got to go. No. The NFLPA should have every right to articulate and present a very clear, full-throated defense on behalf of Deshaun Watson. And it is odd that it all broke on Saturday night. Best I can tell, on Friday night or Saturday morning or sometime around then, both sides were said, get your ducks in a row, get your act together. We're going on Tuesday. I mean, that really was a surprise. It just out of the blue, boom, here it goes. Hearing is on Tuesday. Somebody was talking to Judge Robinson to get it all set up. Now, it's possible both sides chose to keep it quiet because it really did help everyone to bury it on Saturday night. Is it going to be as big of a deal today and tomorrow as it would have been if it had been announced Monday morning that the hearing starts on Tuesday? There'll be other things for the sports radio shows to talk about. It does fade. It doesn't have the same oomph as if it lands on a Monday. That's why they drop bad news on Fridays and now Saturday nights at 6 p.m. in late June when no one is paying attention. So maybe both the league and the union wanted it. Either way, everyone is going to be paying attention this week, the week that historically is the week where no one pays attention to the National Football League. Every reason to pay attention this week. And we'll be doing so in real time at profootballtalk.com and most days this week here on PFT OT.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.